Hey guys, Got Picks here. We're here to break down UFC 304, Leon Edwards versus Belal Mohammad 2. We're going to be going over every single fight on the card, the best bets, what fights we should avoid, round props, as well as any possible parlays. Before we get into it, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you're new here. We're going to be giving out breakdowns and predictions for every event in the year, so subscribe so you don't miss out. Since it's a pay-per-view event, I'll be giving out $15 to whoever can guess or come closest to guessing total amount of significant strikes in the main event in the comments below. To be eligible, you just have to be subscribed. So comment below what you think. Could be a quick $15 on top of the bets we hit this weekend. All right, let's get into it. Let's go over an update on our topology real quick. As you can see, we're now 420 wins and 173 losses, which is a respectable 70.8% win rate. Last week's event, Miranda Maverick winning by decision, was money. The parlay we threw into the video was money. Same parlay with Jandy Roba added, of course, money. And of course, the best bet of the night, cashes for the team, which was the main event, doesn't go the distance. Now, Krzyzewski really ruined it. We would have really killed the bookies if he won. We made some great profit, but wow, we would have taken it back if he won with the others. Up next on the card, we got Shauna Bannon versus Alice Ardelean. We don't really know much about Alice. I'm going into this. Shauna Bannon is negative 205 favorite. We don't really know much about Alice. We're going into this fight. She was supposed to be in the Contender Series until she got called up randomly to fight on this card short notice. What we do know about her is that she's pretty big on the social media side. She has 3 million followers on TikTok doing reaction videos, as as least of what I can see. She promotes her OnlyFans very, very heavy, but she seems to be really big in UK. There's been a lot of articles on her about when she was going to go to the Contender Series, about when she goes to the UFC. She does seem to have a lot of power. She looks dominant, ground and pound looks good, but her competition is really non-existent. She's fought an 0-3 fighter who's now 0-5. Like, that's not a good win. Her competition is really, really bad. Uh, but her losses are good, if you really think about it. Then again, Shauna Bannon at negative 205, 205 on Bannon. I think this is a fight we sit back and enjoy and see what girl who, see if the girl who has a huge following on OnlyFans and see what she can do kind of thing, because what the fuck is this fight and what the fuck is negative 205 for Shauna Bannon? Gun to the head kind of thing. If you ask me who I'm picking, I'm going to pick Shauna Bannon because I have no idea who Alice Ardelean is, and those wins are against really, really poor competition. But yeah, I'm avoiding this completely. Up next in the card, we got Mick Parkin versus Lukasz Brzeski. Parkin looks really good actually, but in the UFC, he really doesn't. It's really weird. He has skill. He's trained with Aspinall before. He's trained with Paul Craig. Outside of the UFC, he looks great. BJJ black belt, first round submission in the Contender Series. Don't get me wrong, he's 3-0. He just doesn't make it look easy for himself. He got outlined by Machado in that fight. And, if he wasn't for those takedowns that he did against Machado, he probably doesn't win that fight. Against Mo Usman, who we just saw how trash he was last week, he made his fight against Parkin look very tough. But Parkin can just take Brzeski down. But does he stay at range again like he did with Mo Usman? At negative 270, that's a big price tag. He hasn't shown us much. I will be taking him by decision. He can certainly submit him. I think he'll be taking him down, but that price tag is a little too big. He does have that advantage being in the UK. I like him in a parlay, but I wouldn't be laying no juice in the money line like that, just in a straight. Maybe if he takes him down, look at a live sub prop. But other than that, I would probably just take Mick Parkin by decision. I do like him in some parlays, though. I don't think Brzeski is that good of a competition. I think Parkin will, continue his streak and go 4-0. Give me Parkin by decision. Up next on the card, we got Sam Patterson versus Keifer Crosbie. I'm going to go with Sam Patterson. He's negative 305 for a reason here. But one thing I don't really like about him, when you look up Sam Patterson, it will show up, quote, internet personality rather than, quote, mixed martial artist, and I don't, I don't think that's a really good, good look. But this is an Omega Juice favorite. Seems like a setup fight. Because Patterson's chin and no striking defense, negative 350 is absolutely crazy. But Crosbie looks really, really bad. That's why he's that big of a favorite. He doesn't look competent. His debut, he got submitted by a kickboxer in Giuseppe. He instantly tapped out as well. He basically quit immediately, besides landing maybe something in the first 2 rounds. But once it gets to the ground, I think it's game over. Negative 350 on Patterson is crazy. It's going to be a huge sweat if you do lay that money on him. but you got to go with him probably even by round one. Patterson just came off of a fight with Leoness. I think he could smoke Crosbie. Give me Patterson by finish. Up next on the card, we got Muhammad Mokaev versus Manel Kape. This is a banger. I mean, truthfully, not all, but a lot of these fights are bangers. This is a great card. Finally some good competition for Mokaev. One of the closest lines we've seen for him and one of the closest lines on the card. Mokaev comes into this fight where he's usually negative 500. He hasn't looked the greatest, and he does make his job a lot more difficult than it has to be. He's not going to want to stand in there with Kape. I think Mokaev lost his last fight against Perez. He basically stayed on his leg and survived. Kape is dangerous, and I think Mokaev will be very scared against him on the feet. I think he's going to attempt 1,000 takedowns. But, ultimately it's a pick 'em. They are in England. It's very close, but I do pick Kape. I do see if it goes to the judges, the decision going to Mokaev. But give me Kape. I think he'll land bigger shots, do more damage, not look silly during the fight. I think Kape is going to be good enough. I really do. I think he could even finish Mokaev in this one. The odds are probably only going to get better in this one. We've seen Mokaev struggle with fighters like Zumagulov, struggled with Malcolm Gordon. He went to the third with Malcolm Gordon, tied 1-1. I personally see Kape smoking Zumagulov and smoking Gordon. Kape is going to be training for the grappling. He's training with Dagestanis currently. I think he's way better in the feet than Mokaev. Mokaev gets lucky sometimes while on the feet. He looks lost sometimes. I see Kape damaging Mokaev and taking him out in the second round. Give me Kape, round 2 knockout. Up next on the card, we got Preston Parsons versus Oban Elliott. Elliott trains at Jack Shore's gym, very young at 26, but his performance looks worrying. His durability seems questionable. His debut against Woodburn, even after gassing out in like 1 minute, he wasn't able to get Woodburn out of there. Preston Parsons, in the beginning of his career, he didn't go past the first round, so at first his stamina wasn't questioned because we never seen it. But he's gone 15 minutes before. We've seen his cardio. His nickname is Pressure. He's going to push the pace and wrestle and apply pressure to his opponent. The longer the fight this goes on, the more he wrestles. I think Elliott won't be able to keep up. I think Parsons can even submit him here. It would probably be later in the fight. If not, it would go to decision, probably win a unanimous split decision. Both defensively aren't great. This is going to be a great fight. I think both are going to go right at it. But if you're going to pick anyone, it's got to be Preston Parsons. I think at a negative 45, he went up to a negative 180 and dropped back down, which is a little worrying, but I will be throwing a straight on Parsons. I will be having some parlays with him in them as well. When I look at the Preston Parsons sides, both of his losses came from D-Rod, who won 4 out of his last 5 prior to that fight, and Giles, who won 4 out of his last 6 prior to the fight. Both were running hot. I think this is a big jump in competition for Elliott. I think stylistically, this is a really bad matchup for Elliott. Give me Preston Parsons. Starting on the card, we got Modestas Bukaskas versus Marcin Prachnio. Both of these fighters are fighters that I'm absolutely always fading. They've been finished a combined 10 times, both being knocked out 4 times respectively. Prachnio is the guy who got knocked out cold by Sam Alvey, which isn't a good look at all. It was in the first round, and then he comes back and wins against Roundtree, including wins against Ike Villanueva and William Knight. It's really weird. He's 4-2 since getting knocked out 3 times. It's very, very odd. Mind you, all these knockouts were in the first round, when he got knocked out. Bukaskas has had a rough time in the UFCs as well. Hasn't faced any easy guys. Got knocked out by Roundtree. They're both chinny if you really look at it. Prachnio's high volume, a bunch of kicks, can sound like 100 plus strikes, but he can slow down so badly. It's been seen as the last couple of fights, but with Modestas, he gets better when the fight goes closer to the end. I think Prachnio goes into this early, but if Modestas goes further into this fight, he should be able to win. He also really, really needs this fight. He's been cut before by the UFC, but this is a fight I will be avoiding. I could see someone getting knocked out, anyone. I can also see this being a very boring fight. Up next to card, we got Coalan Loughran versus Jake Hadley. Hadley is going up to bantamweight, which I really don't think is good for him. I don't think he's the right size. Size difference is a big thing here. Loughran looks huge. I think Loughran will take him down often and keep him down. I think it's going to be a boring fight, but a smart fight by Loughran. I think he's going to be imposing his will, his strength, and keeping Hadley down for 13 out of the 15 minutes here. Loughran is a legit prospect. Hadley's chin has also been exposed. He kind of just shuts down sometimes in there in the ring. When he gets clipped, if you find his chin, Loughran is well rounded. He can grapple, he can box. Look at these stacks: 6.27 strikes landed per minute with 47% accuracy. He can go in there and scrap with him too. You know, I think this is. I mean, this is also a fade against Hadley. I don't like him going up to bantamweight, and I don't think he's the right size for the division. I do think Loughran's really big, um, especially compared to Hadley. Give me Loughran and give me Loughran by decision. Up next on the card, we got Molly McCann versus Bruna Brasil. Molly McCann opened up at negative 215, and now she's negative 350 favorite. And look, money's pouring in on her, but it makes sense. I think this is a setup. I think this is a setup fight for sure for her. They've done this before for McCann in England, especially, and it makes sense. She's entertaining. She's always looking to end the fight. She's probably gonna end the fight here too. Bruna Brasil has been finished 3 times in her career. This is an easy parlay piece for me. It makes sense why there's money pouring in on her. They've set this up for her to win, I think. So I think this is an easy take 'em for her. I mean, take 'em for us as a parlay piece. Molly's going to be applying pressure here early and often. Bruna Brasil, she wants to take her time, but that's going to be very difficult to do against McCann, who's going to just honestly probably just go in there and go straight up in her face and start attacking. McCann is very accurate with a 49% accuracy rate. I got Molly McCann. Give me Molly McCann, meatball by finish. She has a lot more ways to win here. Up next up on the card, we got Nathaniel Wood versus Daniel Pineda. Wood opened up at negative 275, and now he's negative 410. I think he's the biggest favorite on the card. I think this fight will be very fun. Pineda isn't the best, but he does have a 100% finish rate, which is crazy. He has 28 wins with 28 finishes. He's just a lot older. Not sure why Wood would move up in weight class. I guess I don't think he's a featherweight. He's very understand. He's very undersized. Maybe he couldn't deal with the weight cut. Wood has been finished 4 times actually. Basically gets dropped every fight if you really look at it. So his durability isn't the great, but Pineda's durability is arguably worse. He's a glass cannon for sure. If he doesn't win in the first round, I think this is a W for Nathaniel Wood for sure. As more of the fight goes on, I think he'll be able to break him. Wood has shown his ability. He goes out there to bang and box and go to war. I think the pressure will be able to break down Pineda. I think he's also older. I think he's I think he's gonna finish him probably by the second round. Price tag is very, very high, so you probably gotta look at the prop bets here. Fight doesn't go the distance. Is at negative 200 for a parlay piece. That's great, I'd say, but still, that's still a high price tag. Under 2.5 rounds is at negative 160, which is a lot better, but I think riskier here. Um, because I if you look at it right here, Wood inside the distance is at negative 130. That's a lot better for me. I'd take that any day. I'd probably lay a straight on that. Truthfully, I probably will. But I'd keep the fight doesn't go the distance in the parlays instead. But overall, give me Nathaniel Wood. I think he knocks him out in the second round. Up next on the card, we got Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze, another great banger. A couple of years ago, I'd probably pick Giga. Apparently in the new episode of Embedded, Benil Dariush mentions that they've been working a lot on his grappling and that he's improved a lot. I'm assuming that they're thinking that his kickboxing is top class. Let's focus on some wrestling training. But against Arnold Allen, it's going to be very, very tough. We've seen what Allen can do. I know Allen lost his last 2 fights, but those are top level fighters. He's been a perfect 8-0 as a favorite. I think this is a perfect comeback spot to show that he's a more well-rounded fighter, especially now that Giga has gotten older. Giga, he got smoked by Cater, like absolutely smoked. And we saw Max Holloway. We saw what Max Holloway did to Cater himself, and Allen stood there, with Holloway. I think Allen has, I think he has this in the bag. He's also at home in the UK. I see him imposing a striking game, getting this done by decision, most likely a split decision. You know, I'll probably even lay a 2.5 unit bet on this straight. It's juiced, I know, but I just think we're getting a great price tag here. I think it's negative 240 currently. We're getting a great price tag for someone we know is legit, and we know he's going to continue to climb the ranks and get another shot to go for the belt. I think this is a great price tag, even though it's juiced. It's a great parlay piece. Like I mentioned, I really do think I'm gonna lay a 2.5 unit bet here. and I'll probably lay a three-legger here. I'm looking at an Arnold, Aspinall, Molly McCann. Up next on the card, we got Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Rodriguez. Back to back to back bangers here, you know. Leroy Duncan is the side here. I think he'll stuff any takedowns, display his boxing, show his power. You know, RoboCop is legit. You know, there's no question about that. He's going to be coming in there with pressure, show his size, show that he's ready to bang and put on a show. You know, but we've seen what can happen to RoboCop. We've seen a literal gash, a literal hole in his head during his fight against Injaquani. Leroy is going to have his moments to knock out RoboCop, I think. He has legit power. He's also a hometown fighter as well. This is a big moment for him. I don't think the pressure will get to him. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage. I don't think Rodriguez's defense is the best. And CLD has some nasty kicks. He loves to use those Taekwondo kicks. He's accurate. He's accurate. That last fight that he fought, he was so accurate. Powerful, creative. You know, he sets up his shots. He sets up his opponents both with his kicks, his strikes. I can see CLD finishing Rodriguez here and knocking him out. Give me CLD. Give me CLD by round 3 knockout. Up next on the card, we got Bobby Green versus Paddy Pimblett. This is a fun fight for sure. We're getting these odds mainly because Pimblett gets absolutely no respect as of right now from fans. And I mean, after that Jared Gordon fight, how could we, right? But I think he's been very humbled after the fans' reactions based on how he actually thought he won that fight. This fight could be very tricky because Green got hands, you know. He gets knocked out by Jalen, so we're like, oh shit, what are we going to see against Jim Miller? Yet we saw nothing but domination against Miller. But you just can't go against Pimblett here. He's younger, arguably faster, much better on the ground. And if he gets this to the ground, that's a great path to victory for him. He gets the home crowd on his side. I just can't see any reason not to take Paddy here, especially if we got that plus money odds. Green, his takedown defense is high. It's at 74%, which is why I think this will be a tough challenge for Paddy. I think his path to victory is there. Even if this does hit the scorecards, I think the judges may even be more on his side, especially after that Jared Gordon fight. We saw the judges being favorable to him. Paddy's chin is in the sky, so it is very dangerous, but we've seen his chin been tested. He's a dangerous grappler. We've also seen Bobby Green get dropped as of late, even by Jim Miller himself, actually. When I first look at this fight, I thought Bobby Green, but the more I look at the stats, the data, the location, the fight styles, I think Paddy will do well here. You know, a bunch of kicks, set up his shots, feint here and there, make Bobby worried about the takedown that I'm sure he's training for. He's gonna be thinking Pamela will eventually go for it, you know. But when Green stuffs the takedown, he does give his back up a little bit. You know, I think Pimblett can take advantage of that. You know, sinking a hook. The Jared Gordon fight did show some holes, but I do think he's improving every day. I don't see Green sleeping Pimblett. You know, Pimblett, he's still 21-3. He's not a rookie anymore. I think he gets this done. I'll be throwing a straight on Pimblett as well. I'll definitely be taking that plus money. I think this is a solid parlay option as well to boost those odds. I think he can finish Bobby Green, truthfully. Give me Paddy Pimblett here. Give me Paddy Pimblett by finish. Next up on the card, we got the co-main event of Curtis Blades versus Tom Aspinall. This card is great, truthfully. Just the big problem here on this fight is the price tag. You know, Blades is absolutely no scrub. It's not smart putting money on Aspinall with this kind of price tag. Do I think he wins? Yes. But you gotta look at the price. You gotta look at the props here. There's just no way you can lay negative 400 juice here. It's just tricky here. You know, Blades was a big favorite against Pavlovich. Meanwhile, Aspinall was negative 110. This is still a bad bet, no matter which way you look at it. You know, if you were to place your first ever bet in your life, yeah, you take Aspinall. But if you're looking to be a smart bettor, this just is not the spot. This is just not the spot. This doesn't make sense. You know, but at the end of the day, Aspinall's the better fighter. He's overall better. He's faster. He has better striking, maybe even better grappling. I don't see Blades finishing Aspinall here. Aspinall has the death touch, you know. I'm not looking at this first fight. I'm not looking at the first fight at all. It was just a freak injury, I think. We've seen Blades get taken down by Almeida. I think Aspinall is better than Almeida. I think Aspinall would also be able to take him down here. I think, truthfully, if Aspinall loses here, I'll be very, very upset, especially because regardless what I say here, I will be playing Aspinall in some parlays. Um, it's one of those spots that you just have to mention that price tag. I think this is an overall win for Aspinall for sure. It's just I think it's a bad bet. And do bad bets win? Of course they do. I definitely think Aspinall will win here. I think he's a lot faster, and I think he's even better in grappling, truthfully. So overall, give me Aspinall here. I think it goes to decision now. Give me Aspinall by decision. Up next on the card, we have the main event of Leon Edwards versus Belal Mohammad. Leon in the first fight, he closed negative 265, and Belal was plus 240. Both are still unbeaten. Leon went on to win the championship. Belal got some good wins against Burns and Sean Brady, but now Edwards has opened up as a smaller favorite than last time. And I do think that means a lot. When you look at the first fight, there wasn't much movement, and any movement that did happen, it did go on the Leon side. In their first fight, Leon looked dominant. Leon landed 17 out of 35 strikes compared to only 8 out of 24 for Belal. Now they're giving us a better line? It's just one of those things that make you really, really question. It's really, really weird. Vegas did not make these shiny, shiny buildings because they don't make money and they don't know what they're doing. It's really, really weird. They're giving us a better line, even though they're both still perfect, even though Leon is fighting at home. It tells me a lot. It tells me that Vegas thinks that this is a lot closer than the betting line suggests. All of Bilal's respect is very much coming from his win against Sean Brady, but let's not forget about Leon Edwards here. He deserves that strap. When you look at the data, this could be a coin flip, but when you really look at it, when you look at their last fight, look at their performances after the fight, I think this is a bad matchup for Belal, which is why I'll be taking Leon here. I think Leon's odds will get much worse as the fight approaches. Belal looked lost in that last fight in the first round. I don't think we'll see too much of a difference here. I don't think we should look too much into the stats and stick to exactly what we've seen in the last fight, as well as the last fight we've seen Leon in. He's looked great. He's crisp. He's sharp. He sets up his shots. He has great takedown defense. Lands more than he absorbs. Powerful when he lands. I think Belal could win a round or two, but ultimately I see Leon winning here and possibly even finishing Belal as well. I think he's a better fighter, but ultimately I will be taking Leon to win by decision. Give me Leon and Leon by decision here.